This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
AI is incredible. It can teach you how to fry an egg and even write a poem, pirate style. Yarr! But it knows nothing about your work. Slackbot is different. It doesn't just know the facts. It knows your schedule. It can turn a brainstorm into a brief. And it doesn't need to be taught. Because Slackbot isn't just another AI. It's AI that knows your work as well as you do. Visit slack.com/meet Slackbot to learn more.
My father would womanize, he would drink. He would make outrageous claims like he invented the question mark. Sometimes he would accuse chestnuts of being lazy. The sort of general malaise that only the genius possess and the insane lament.
Live from Joe's mom's basement, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and we're getting ready for Father's Day, so brace yourself for a talking to. You think financial podcasts grow on trees? Well, put your earbuds in, because we're not broadcasting this for the whole neighborhood, damn it! Because today, we're going to be preaching the best dad advice we've been given and the advice we give to our kids. Here for the Dad Deep Dive is a man who's showing his independence. Say hello to the guy who ChooseFI and who also happens to be a dad, Brad Barrett. Plus, we're welcoming a famous dad whose contribution to mankind has saved all dads from reading the boring stuff. It's the guy who invented the mouse. Nah, he's still busy scrolling, so we got his dad, Len Penzo. And last but not least, the guy rocking fatherhood in style. Yeah, okay, that's a stretch. OG! But that's not all. Halfway through the show, I'll share my dorky trivia question. And now, a guy who knows how to dad joke with the best of them, it's ChooseFI. Put a little extra oomph in your name there, Joe.
Jeez.
Yeah, I kind of like just... Wow. Like, I don't know what came over me.
With that introduction, hello, everybody. Welcome and happy Friday to you. I am Joe Saul, CI Average Joe Money on Twitter, and what an episode. Normally, we have a bunch of diverse voices, and today we're diverse in one way. We all have different dads. Well, allegedly have different dads.
Allegedly. Is there controversy?
I don't even know where this open's going, but it's Father's Day, so we have a bunch of fathers here. Let's start off with the gentleman across the card table from me. Mr. OG is here. How are you, my friend? Happy Father's Day weekend.
Okay, to you too.
Brother.
I'm fantastico. I was thinking about Father's Day plans, and I was thinking that all the commercials are like, go play golf with dad and stuff like that. And it's like, so on Father's Day, I have to hang out with my kids?
What do you want for Father's Day? I want you to go for a long walk.
Silence. I would like 2 cigars, a bottle of bourbon, and silence.
Let's give our listeners a little bit of context for people new to the show. OG, how old are your kids?
16 and 14 almost, and 7.
Awesome. And before we have our special guest come to the mic, let's go deep under Los Angeles, where in his bunker, Mr. Len Penzo's here. Happy Father's Day to you, man.
Thank you, and same to you. I want to apologize to OG. I know I was late, and I know you're kind of pinched for time today, but there was a disaster right off the coast of the Channel Islands here, and I was watching the news, so I got caught up with it. Apparently, a red ship and a blue ship collided, and all the sailors were marooned.
Oh, man. Just
That's a dad joke.
Is that what that was?
Thanks for sharing.
Oh, that's
That's
good.
a dad joke.
Wow.
No idea that was a dad joke. Wow. And here,
You
wondering,
thought it was real. Oh, I'm sorry.
Len, before we go to our special guest, your kids.
Want another
how
joke?
Old, no, please, God, no. Did I say that too quickly? How old are your kids, Len?
They are 26 and 20. See, this is what happens. Your kids get older. I don't know, 23 or 24, 23.
I won't even ask them what their names are, Doug, because we'll have no idea.
I wasn't sure if Nina was 23 or 24. She's 23.
Oh, just to prove, he flexes and says Nina, just to make sure everybody knows that he knows. And the guy wondering what the hell he's doing here. And a guy who, by the way, we had his former co-host on a couple times, but we have never had the Brad Barrett here from ChooseFI. It is about damn time, Brad.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to be here. It's been a long time coming. I can't believe it's my first time on the show. And yeah, I don't know exactly what I've walked into here, but it should be
How
fun.
does it feel that we had your former co-host on before you? Does that hurt at all? Is there a little sting there?
No, I get it. Jonathan's a little funnier than me, so I think he's the more appropriate person, so it's all good.
Well, we got the guy who treats podcasting like a marathon here, not a sprint, Brad. We got the guy with longevity
Like it.
here
Nice
finally.
save, Joe.
Yes. Happy Father's Day to you, by the way. How old are your kids, Brad?
I have two daughters. My older one is 15, and my younger one is 11. And it's funny because we're talking about needing maybe the perfect Father's Day is time away. So on Mother's Day, my wife wanted a day to herself, so I took my kids to King's Dominion, the amusement
Nice
park.
job.
I know we're massive amusement park fans, and I think on Father's Day I'm also taking my kids to King's Dominion. So
Jumping on that grenade.
I didn't
huh?
exactly luck out, but it's all good.
There might be a theme there, Brad. There very well might be. Yeah. Well, and I'm wondering, you have teenagers. Oh, gee, you have teenagers. Do you guys know anything anymore, or do your teenagers know everything?
My older daughter is still in the frame where she still likes me, wants to hang out with me, which is amazing. I don't know what I did, to get that lucky, but also, so she's a massive roller coaster enthusiast. So I think she just uses me as like she's going to talk to somebody about roller coasters. So if I'm the default person, so
Per plus one.
yeah, I'll take it.
Oh, gee, your kids?
Yeah. I mean, some things I'm still smarter on, but not many.
Well, we're going to talk about things that we learned from our dads today. And then in the second half of the show, we'll talk about things that we focus on as dads with a big interest in financial literacy and in financial independence and teaching our kids about money in life. We'll share those stories about how we're helping our kids. But before all that, Brad, I don't know if we went over the rules of the show, but maybe if you sit down, we can talk about them now. Is that all right?
All right, let's hear it.
Take notes.
I had a breakfast mentoring meeting yesterday with a young woman who was just amazing. She is graduating from college with a degree in wealth management, and she reached out hoping for some pointers. And listen, if somebody's in Texarkana and wants to go into this beautiful field of personal finance and helping people get their money together, that is incredible. But even more incredible is how she reached out, how she was trying to network. And I was having a discussion that finding the right person and avoiding the wrong person for a role, that's what can make or break an organization. And we just don't see that many qualified people. So how do you find them? Well, Indeed sponsored jobs is a boost whenever you need to find quality talent. If you're hiring, Indeed is all you need. You can stop struggling to get your job post even seen on other sites. You'll match with quality candidates with Indeed's sponsored jobs. Get matched with and hire quality candidates who can drive the results you need. Reach candidates who meet your specific criteria like skills, certifications, or location. It drives me crazy when I'm matched with all kinds of people who aren't a fit. I don't have that kind of time. People are finding quality hires on Indeed right now. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. Sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed are 95% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all the boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, This is a job for Indeed sponsored job. And here's what's cool, Stackers. You're going to get $75 in sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support Stacking Benjamins by saying you heard about Indeed right here at Stacking Benjamins. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed.
Wow, these are some great rules. You got any more, Joe?
Sure. In business, there is no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. And when you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on, because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else, your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS Ground Advantage. We mean business. Weren't those great, Brad?
Oh, amazing. Wow. That's a laundry list.
Brad Barrett from ChooseFI is here. Len, OG, Doug, me, all dad's weekend on Father's Day. So let's go. Well, normally at this point in the show, we talk about some financial blog, financial piece that we're talking about. But you know what? We got a lot of experts here in the dad category today. And, you know, you guys may have learned something about money from your dads. You might have learned something about the value of work and making money from your dads. Brad, let's start with you. What's an important life lesson that you learned from dad about money, work, and life?
Yeah. In reflecting on this, I realized that my dad was the very first person I ever met who retired early.
Oh.
Which is pretty wild. And I never actually thought about it that way until very recently. And I realized maybe in those days it wasn't super duper early, but he retired, I think, at 51. He was done. I mean, he hasn't worked in 25 years now. And it was a positive and negative to a large degree, in the sense that I think he kind of limited himself with like the upside in his job. He was a lawyer. We lived on Long Island, so he was an attorney for the Long Island Railroad. And he very specifically took that job, even though it paid less than he probably could have made, certainly in private practice, but it had a pension. So he, from a very early age, realized, oh, wow, there's something here, and I could actually retire early. So this was, I mean, quite literally decades before the FIRE movement. He saw that as a viable path. And I think, I don't remember exactly, Joe, how long he worked, but I suspect it was probably 25 years. It may have been 20. Regardless, that was his career. And basically the second that pension kicked in, he up and retired, and he's been doing that for nearly 25 years now. So I think I learned through example that, oh, wow, you can get off the treadmill. There's actually an off switch.
Has your dad enjoyed his time post 51 years old?
Yeah, well, I think he has enjoyed his time. This is one of kind of my never-ending frustrations. And one of the things maybe you learn from your parents, so you can get positive lessons, or frankly, you can get negative lessons and learn from that, and either emulate them and just kind of keep on with that potential negative, I don't know, negativity or whatever. Yeah. Right. Or you can say, I'm going to do the exact opposite. And I think my dad, unfortunately, has spent a lot of the time on the couch and watching a whole lot of sports. He knows more about Gonzaga basketball than anyone on earth, even though he lives in Virginia.
It's like Gonzaga is way across the country.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, he's up until 3 a.m. watching like college basketball games. It's wild. I think he's enjoyed his time, as it may be, but I realized, and my brother and I realized, that that can't be our lives. It can't be our lives to sit on the couch for 16 hours a day and sleep the other 8. That's just not ideal. I've taken it the opposite and realized, like, I need to be as fit as I can be.
Yeah. It's funny, Brad, we have this in common. My dad retired at 53, and he did that because he worked for General Motors. Again, looked at the pension, 23 years old, got hired by GM, stayed till 53, and took the early early out as well. Did a good job of saving and retired young. The thing, it's funny that I learned that's the opposite from my dad is that my dad started hanging out with people that were way older than him, because when you retire early, everybody your age, most people your age, are still working. And in fact, I have a friend that just went part-time recently, now that we're in that age group, who said the same thing. He's like, it's kind of boring because everybody my age is still going. There's nobody to talk to. So we actually, Brad, had to have an intervention with my dad because he started getting the same aches and pains his friends were having that were 15 years older, and had to tell him, hey, hang out with these guys. That's fine. They're great guys. But my dad started having all kinds of health problems that we all felt were kind of psychosomatic just from retiring early.
That's why you guys keep me around.
I was going to say, OG, do you have some of those same aches and pains that Joe and I have all the time?
That's right. Oh, I think he has more that we have, don't you?
He probably does, yeah.
OG, how about you? A lesson you learned from Dad?
I was thinking about this in the context of a number of people, both my dad as well as both of my grandparents, and they're all vastly different humans. They had one similarity in that they were all in the military at one point, but otherwise all three of them were completely different people. I've always worked for results my entire life. I've never had a job that's been a W-2 job. And that's not because of my dad, because my dad was a truck driver. He worked by the load or by the hour, so maybe he had a little bit of that. I really wanted to get a paper route when I was younger, and I lied on the application saying that I was 12 when really I was 11. And the guy showed up at my house and I was out playing, and I'm talking to this man out in the yard, right? And my dad or mom came out like, what's going on here? And the guy says, oh, I'm with the Bay City Times, and I'd like to, your son said that he wanted to have a paper route. I thought I'd come by. And my mom's like, you're not old enough for that. And I'm looking at my mom going, Ixnay on the old part, like they didn't check, Anyway, so my dad said, if you want to do this, we're going to do it the right way. So how many people are on the route? Like, let's walk the route. And the guy, shows us, like, here's all the different places where you deliver the newspaper, and this is how you do it. And then my dad said, how many extras do we get every day? And the paper guy said, well, you get, 7 or 10 extra papers every day in case one's damaged or something like that. And my dad was my first introduction into marketing, because he said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the 10 papers that you get extra, and we're going to deliver them to 10 people who don't get the newspaper for a week. And concluding on Sunday morning with the Sunday morning big, because I had all the coupons on it, and like that was the big newspaper. On Sunday afternoon, you're going to go to those 10 people and say, for the last week, I've given you the newspaper for free. If you'd like to continue, I'd like for you to sign up. I was like, I'm not doing that. My dad's like, then you're not doing the route. We're doing it this way or not at all. And we went from, I was 11, we went from 60 people on the route. And when I stopped doing it, when I went to high school 3 years later, I had 130 people on the route. And it was all from that method of doing like a little bit of like, here's the freebie. It was the freemium model. It was like literally like, here's the freemium. My dad was like an internet marketer before there was internet. And all this came out of him just like wanting to punish me for signing up for this.
And what was your dad's cut of that increased subscribership? Did he get some residuals off of that?
No, he didn't get anything, but we had to do
Did you get anything from the increase, or was it?
Yeah. So basically how it worked was you ordered the number of papers per week. So you said, okay, for this week, I need 65 per day. And then at the end of the month, the newspaper delivery company would send you a bill, and you'd have to pay the bill, and whatever you collected above the bill was yours to keep. So basically, they charged $10 a month for the newspaper. I charged $12 a month for the newspaper. I got to keep $2 a month per person or something like that. So it was really kind of that extra thing. So
Learn marketing.
That was the first thing that I can remember from a business standpoint that had a long lasting impact on me.
Len, how about you, man? Lesson from Dad?
Well, let's see. One of the big things he taught to me is there's always opportunities to make more money over and above your typical job. So my dad lots of times had multiple jobs. He had a position that, didn't make that much money. Well, he always used to say, I never saw a Brinks truck follow a hearse, which was his way of saying, I'm going to spend my money today because I don't know if I'm going to die tomorrow. And he actually paid for it, especially at the end of his life. But earlier on, when I was little, the man was, God bless him. I mean, he worked 2-3 jobs to keep up with his spending habit. He wasn't in debt, but he was spending every penny he earned, and he was working extra to make sure that he could sustain his lifestyle. So I guess and it almost kind of sounds bad, but it's really not. I mean, there's always, if you're willing to put in the extra work and you want to spend the extra money, you can go out and side hustle yourself and earn that, get that extra income and not have to be in debt.
Did you ever have a side hustle because of that? Because it sounds like you learned saving because your dad didn't save.
Yeah, well, not really. I think most of the things I did as an adult, I did volunteering. So I wasn't making any money off my stuff. But right, that's why I saved a lot. Now that I'm retired, I am trying to side hustle wherever I can. Consulting and doing other things and having little side things that are bringing in money. So I know that for certain. But even when you're younger, there's no reason for you to be in debt with your spending. If you really want to get down to it, just get a side hustle and make up that difference. If you're spending more than you're earning, it's the easiest way. It's actually a better way than trying to cut yourself down to nothing.
When you said, Len, that there was always money in side hustles, I thought you were going here. This is a great, well-known father-son relationship, I think, that a lot of people might have heard.
Money for the family.
There's always money in the banana stand.
We don't have the money, Pop.
There's always money in the banana stand.
And so Michael, his son, and his brother together enjoyed the cathartic burning of the banana stand.
There was money in that banana stand.
Well, it's all gone now, Dad.
There's $250,000 lining the walls of the banana stand.
Oops. That, of course, very famous father-son moment from the show Arrested Development there. I thought your dad taught you that, Len, that there's always money in the banana
always
stand.
Money in the banana stand.
Well, I wish he had a banana stand.
Dad embezzling money. My dad taught me to work hard and good things happen. That the boss, to be the boss's friend, like don't be the boss's buddy. I certainly never had any time for that. My dad never had any time for that either. He was like, don't be a brown noser, but the boss needs a person that when stuff needs to get done, it needs to get done now and it needs to get done on time and they need to know who to trust. And your number one job, I remember my dad teaching me this when I was going to my first job at 13 years old. You want to be that person. Sometimes I think that gave me too much respect for my bosses, looking at some of the bad bosses I had. But that was certainly a big one that my dad had. Let's talk specifically about money. Brad, did you guys talk about money? I mean, did your dad talk about retiring early at all in your family?
No, he definitely did not. And yeah, it feels like a missed opportunity. I can't remember one time talking about money when I was growing up as a kid.
That's funny. That's us as well, too. Never once. We could talk about hustle and work, but never money.
When you were growing up?
When I was growing up, never money. Like my parents would have a discussion about money and they'd tell us to leave the room because that wasn't for us.
As if it's something to be ashamed of. That's something, and we're going to talk after the break about what we talk to our kids about, but I've tried to take the exact opposite of that, which is keep them involved because money is such an important part of our lives. And like to keep it stuffed into corners and dark rooms, right? Like it makes no sense at all.
I feel like it might have been a part of that time. Len, did you and your dad ever talk about money?
No, the only time, and people are going to think, oh, yeah, you're talking bad about your dad. But you know what? I love my dad. He was a great man. But the only time we talked about money is when he wanted to borrow money from me, especially when I was a teenager. There was some times, despite his side hustles, that he was still a little over and he needed $1,000 or $2,000 from me back then. I had a pretty good job as a teenager. I was working at a grocery store, and back then.
So you charge your dad 24%? You charge him 24%?
No. It was all for free. It was usually it was for a month. It was just to carry him for the month to get, and he always paid me back. But I mean, that's how close he lived. I mean, he's not kidding. He spent everything. And, and sometimes there'd be a month where he's going to be just a little short. And so I'd have to float him $1,000 or so, and he'd pay me back. But
he would pay back.
Other than that, though, we never talked. We never talked about money. I mean, his message to me was basically spend it while you got it.
Oh, gee, how about you? You and your dad ever talk money?
Len, before, I do think I might be a little light this month. Something we can work out.
I'm retired now.
Something we can work out.
Listen how quick that card got played. Yeah. Oh, I'm retired. Oh, sorry.
I'm a crotchety old man. I can't.
Get off my lawn.
I see how it is. Talk about money. No, not a lick. I mean, in my household, my parents, because of my dad's work, was very cyclical and certainly economy dependent. He hauled cars. And so if the car market sucked, then there weren't cars to haul. And so he would do other things. And And certainly we always had food on the table, and the roof was always dry, which was, more than a lot of people. But there was a lot of tough times. I know my parents had a lot of financial difficulties several times throughout my childhood that we were is benefactors the right word of, but, we just kind of got to participate in, kind of like Brad was saying, through the furnace vents. You could kind of just hear something's going down. I'm going to stay upstairs for a while, and there really wasn't that. But I don't know if that was just a function of the frustration of the cyclical nature of the income and how it kind of ebbed and flowed, and just kind of hard to piece it all together. But not a lot of conversations. The one and only conversation I had with my dad was when I started as an advisor 25 years ago. I sat down with him and I said, you need to put money in your 401k. And he said, I'm not giving those SOBs any more of my money. And I was like, that's not how this works, but okay, Dad. Like, I wasn't going to argue with him. I wasn't going to win it. But it's interesting that you talk, Brad, about your dad and his pension, because that's a real common thing, right? Pension, especially a little bit older generation. And the pension system that my dad was a part of, they filed bankruptcy.
Oh,
so the whole security of the pension, which was like, hey, you're going to get, $5,000 a month or $4,500 a month forever, turned to, oh yeah, sorry, we're out of money. Our bad. Call the government. They've got your paperwork. And I don't know what the details are, but I think it settled down at somewhere in the neighborhood of about 30 or 40 cents on the dollar. So even that hard work and all that sort of stuff turned into a pretty rough outcome.
How far along his working journey was that when he found out that it was cut? Was it after he had already started receiving? Or?
Yeah. So my dad retired with a shoulder injury. He's 70 now, maybe 68 or something. And so he's probably been retired since his late 50s, but mostly medical. And so, but he had accumulated, much like all of our dads, he'd been just working his whole life. So he had the time in service. And so he just retired. And then, shortly thereafter was like, oh yeah, by the way, pension's bankrupt. Sorry, our bad. Good luck, guys. Yeah, pretty frustrating.
What I really like about this conversation is the fact that we can learn both ways. We can learn from stuff that our dad taught us and things that they didn't. And in the second half of this discussion, I think we're all certainly, knowing all of you guys fairly well, we're going to certainly fill in the blanks on how we talk to our kids a little bit about money, and maybe people can get some great stuff from that as well. But we're at the halfway point of today's show, which means it's time for our trivia competition. This, if you're new to the Stacking Benjamin Show, is a year-long competition where our three usual contributors, OG, Len Penzo, and Paula Pant, are going head-to-head for the big trophy. People watching us on YouTube will see the trophy behind OG. You want to do your Vanna White for a second? There it is. Brad, today that means you're on Team Paula Pant. That means there's some good news and bad news for you. Do you want the good news first or the bad news?
Let's go with the bad.
Well, the bad news is you're not winning. However, for people that have been around this show, they know Paula's never winning. So Paula, as smart as she is, usually in last place. But the good news is she's not losing either. We have a three-way tie right now. Len has 7, OG has 7, and Paula has 7, which means we're going to guess in order of how we finished last year. So OG will guess first, Len will guess second, and Brad, you get to guess third, which is the sweet spot here. But another thing my dad taught me is don't assume when you meet somebody, don't assume anything based on how they look, how they dress, how they talk. You don't have any idea what's going on, which is a way for me leading into Doug is the one that actually has this question. I knew you were going to do that. And I know a lot of you are assuming stuff and don't do it. Doug, what's our question, man?
There was a compliment in there somewhere. I'm just telling myself. Hey there, stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. And Joe's mom's mad I left the milk out again. I don't know why she gets all bent out of shape. I thought she liked warm milk. All old people do, right? She said I'm not allowed in the house for a week, so I yelled, "You can't ground me!" And I switched off the lights and I slammed the door on the way out like any good teenager does. That'll show her she's not the boss of me, even if she, bought the milk and can change the locks on me. Speaking of bold moves, suburban dads across America are known for the classic style of white chunky sneakers paired with black dress socks. These fashion icons know value and comfort when they see it and have now turned their favorite shoes into a trend. The top dog of dad footwear is a New Balance 624. It's good for your back and your budget or, running down the mailman. Their dad's staple sneaker has driven the Boston-based company, founded in 1906, to the 5th largest shoe brand in the U.S. So my trivia question is, with the New Balance fashion trend on the rise, how much revenue is New Balance anticipated to earn in 2023? I'll be back right after I see if Joe's mom left the back door unlocked. I left my wallet on the counter when I was making my stand about the milk.
Well, that might be problematic, but as Doug figures that out, New Balance 2023, OG, you've got 5 or 6 pairs of New Balance to go with your black socks?
I was going to ask how many you guys have.
I actually don't have any New Balance. Len, do you have any New Balance?
I have nothing. No, I don't.
No, Brad. Come on, Brad.
No, I got 0. I used to wear New Balance, but I'm out now.
How about the jorts? Do you have the jean shorts, Brad? I know you do. You look like a jort guy.
Yeah, I rock those things all the time.
And the cell phone belt clip?
The beeper, come on.
Right, the beeper. I've got the hiking pants that unzip.
Oh, those are sweet.
Yes, so they can become shorts. That's good. But OG, let's give this a whirl, man. New Balance in 2023.
New Balance. How much money is New Balance going to make? That's the question.
What's their revenue? Yeah, revenue, not profit, revenue.
So top line money from New Balance. As quite often, I just kind of zoned out while Doug was droning on.
Why is there so much hate today?
Were there any other points of data?
We can't tell you. If you can't follow the trivia, you don't get any help.
Okay.
I think my dad taught me that too. Yes.
Yeah.
Snooze, you lose.
I am going to say that New Balance I feel like they're smaller than Nike. Nike seems like a big company. You don't see a lot of advertisements for New Balance. So that struggles for them. I'm going to peg their revenue at a whopping $794 million.
$794 million. Mr. Penzo, what do you think about that? He high or low?
God, that sounds low to me. But it is New Balance, right? It's not Nike. See, that's the thing. Nike. So that's the rub. Gosh.
It's an audio podcast, Len. It's helpful if you talk.
I want to say it's $1 billion. It's got to be $1 billion. Is it still $1 billion company? Is it $1 billion company? That's the question. I think it is. Well, it's New Balance. Gosh, I'm going to, I'll say $5 billion.
$5 billion.
Wait, what was your number, Len?
Billion. $5 billion.
$5 billion.
Billion.
That's a big number.
You said million, right? OG? You said million.
You said $794 million.
Yeah. I'm going to say $5 billion.
Brad, that's a wide goalpost right there.
Yeah, I'm definitely trying to split the difference here, certainly. So is this Price is Right rules, or is it just closest?
No, we used to do Price is Right rules, and we had Florida man got angry at us for doing that. Yes.
All right. So I was debating somewhere between $1.5 billion and $2 billion. So I'm going to split it right in the middle, $1.75 billion.
$1.75 billion. Yeah. All right. We've got is it 674, Doug? Was OG's?
Well, no, not even close. 794.
794.
Nice dyslexia,
yes.
Joe.
First thing for this dad to lose is his memory. $5 billion for Len and 1.75 for Brad. We'd love to tell you who's right, but we'll do that in just a second. We'll be right back.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
You didn't start a business just to keep the lights on. You're here to sell more today than yesterday. You're here to win. Lucky for you, Shopify built the best converting checkout on the planet. Like the just one tapping, ridiculously fast acting, sky-high sales stacking, champion of checkouts. That's the good stuff right there. So if your business is in it to win it, win with Shopify. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/win.
OG, I'm never going to remember what your number was, but it was the smallest one. So how you feeling about that number?
I don't know if it's a tiny company. I got a lot of space from about $1.2 billion down. So,
well, now that everybody's locked in, Doug did say it was the 5th largest shoe manufacturer. 5th, number 5.
That doesn't help.
So, Len, how you feeling? You've got this $5 billion upside. If it's $20 billion, you've got it.
I don't know. The New Balance was a nice touch. I mean, if you just said Nike, I think it'd have been a little more easier. But yeah, New Balance, who knows? The drop between the top and the 5th, it could be huge.
Len, millions of dads can't be wrong. So you could be right.
Say, Nike doesn't make the preeminent dad fashion statement. So we couldn't have gone there.
Oh, okay.
Brad, this will be the first that Team Paula been in first place in a long time. I don't Paulette got her caught up during her 9 months here, but I don't remember the last time Paula was in the lead. So you feeling good?
I'm feeling pretty good. Hopefully this can be a graduation present to Paula. I actually just saw her in New York City right before she graduated.
I saw that. That was awesome. Getting that band together. That was super cool.
Yeah, that was super cool.
All right, let's do this, Doug. Who's right in this shindig?
Hey there, stackers. I'm anti-dad sneaker and smack talker, Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. Hey, a quick question. How come dads say you aren't going out in that, and yet then they'll wear just black socks with New Balance shoes and those awful dad jeans out to dinner? Well, if I've told you once, I've told you 100 times, dad does what dad wants. What do you think if all the other dads wore nice clothes, your dad would too? He taught you well that the world doesn't work that way, so let's get you your trivia answer. The dad shoe trend, now popular with teenagers and influencers, has moved all the way down to the 5th largest shoe brand in the U.S., New Balance. In fact, there are even dad influencers playing up the popular sneaker. So, OG, there's an opportunity for you right there for a few extra bucks. All this time you've been wearing that stuff for free. My trivia question is, with the New Balance fashion trend on the rise, how much revenue is New Balance anticipated to earn in 2023? Well, I'll tell you this, that OG was off by just $6.2 billion, and Brad was off by about $5.25 billion. Len came in the closest, being off by just $2 billion, because they are anticipated to earn about $7 billion in 2023. Congratulations, Len!
Len Penzo.
I think that's appropriate considering I'm the granddaddy of the dads here. So, yes.
Get the most time in the saddle.
Yes, that's right.
So the next time Len says, get off my lawn, he could follow it up with, because do you know who I am? I'm the Father's Day trivia winner. It's exactly who I am. Congratulations, Len, by the way. It's a nice cherry on top. And
Sorry, Paula.
Brad, but it's no big deal. Paula's never in the lead, so no pressure there at all, Brad. Hey, Brad, speaking of that, let's move into the second half of the show. Second half of the show is brought to you by depositaccounts.com. You know what happens at depositaccounts.com, Brad Barrett?
No, tell me.
You find out that brick and mortar bank where you've been looking at CD rates, savings account rates, checking account rates, probably straight right now. In fact, we are recording this just over a week before it's live. And how about a checking account paying 2.3% APY? Savings accounts, top 1% average is 4.4 CD rates. On a 1-year CD, 5.32 versus a national average of 3.33. They compare and contrast all of them, just give you top to bottom at depositaccounts.com. All right, let's dive into what are we teaching our kids, Brad? When you started thinking about how you're going to teach your kids about money, let's talk about philosophy first. Like, what did you set out to teach your kids? And then follow-up question's going to be, how has that differed from what you've actually been able to do?
Yeah, so I definitely set out to normalize the conversation around money. That was something that was always hush hush, and we can't talk about that for no reason whatsoever other than people just don't talk about money. But why? Money is such an important part of our lives and such an important tool. I wanted my girls to be involved in that. My wife and I, we sat down pretty early and said, like, this is something that is essential and our girls need to know this. And it has to be age appropriate, right? Like if I sat down and started teaching them about EBITDA and stock buybacks and things when they're 4 years old, they're going to laugh me out of the room, right?
Amortization table.
Yeah, seriously. Right. We have done a pretty good job of this over the years. This is like one of those kind of feathers in our caps as parents. Frankly, like I've taken the lead on this and my girls are actually really interested. I try to find ways. I mentioned earlier that my older daughter is a roller coaster enthusiast, so I know she's in good company here. I have built multiple lessons around actually Cedar Fair, which is a big owner of 11 parks, Cedar Point obviously being the most famous one, but King's Dominion that I mentioned earlier is one of them. And my daughter is actually a shareholder now of Cedar Fair. Yeah, I built all of these lessons around it in terms of this is how physically you buy stocks on Vanguard. We dove into their annual reports, and she was able to see in the footnotes how many acres of land there were still undeveloped at King's Dominion. So, I mean, we're diving deep into this. We actually reached out to the general manager of the park. I introduced my daughter as a 14-year-old shareholder and a roller coaster enthusiast, and now they've actually met in person and have a relationship, and it's wonderful. And like my daughter gets to ask these questions that she has about the industry and such to this incredibly successful woman who is the GM of our local park. And it's just, it has exceeded my expectations in terms of, wow, I set out to teach her lessons, and it really spiraled into something extraordinary.
Does she get any free perks though? That's what everybody's asking.
She has not gotten any free perks yet, but she has gotten escorted to the line with this wonderful woman who's the general manager. So yeah, nothing free, but cool stuff nonetheless.
That is super cool. And just to get nerdy for just a second, she also gets to learn then, Brad, what a pain in the ass Cedar Fair stock is, because it's a partnership and you get a K1 for that crap.
Yeah. That's the first thing that I thought about when you said it. I was like, enjoy the K1, brother.
Seriously, I didn't realize that until she started telling me it's a unit holder. Yeah, and not a shareholder. I'm like, what does that mean? And
why do you keep saying that? That's a weird way to say shareholder.
Right. Yeah, please don't say that.
Huh? Len, how about you? Working with your kids? What do you think? Same question.
My God, it's so hard. I mean, there's so many lessons you can tell your kids. I'm trying to pick, well, which one do I want to give? I'm going to go a little off, just something that other people might not think that's, I think, very valuable that I taught my kids. And that's before you leave the house, learn how to cook. And the reason for that is I see a lot of these younger, 20-somethings, they eat out all the time. They grab fast food. They don't cook at home. They're renting, or they don't cook wherever they're living, if they're renting or whatever. I've told my kids, I've showed them how much money we save by not going out to eat every day. Then when you throw in the leftovers and you eat those leftovers, you save so much money. That'll give you such a head start when you're young that it's not even funny. And the other thing is, I told my son too, is if you learn how to cook, and I'm not saying be a chef or anything like that, but just be competent in the kitchen. Girls love that. What young lady doesn't love a man who cooks? So it just kind of helps everything. It helps the romance and it helps the love life, but it helps your pocketbook as well. So, and it's something that's really simple to do.
Do your kids both cook? Do your kids both cook?
Yes, they both cook, and my son is just amazing. He's just an amazing cook. Just taking things out of the refrigerator and whipping things up. It's just, it's great.
I saw how well Len cooks, which is why my financial independence goal is to live next to Len. That's the one thing I have not achieved yet. Financial independence is fine. Living next to Len on the way, so he can feed me all the time. OG, how about you? A good lesson for your kids?
I was thinking about Len cooking for me. This would be worth a trip in and of itself. So he's going to lend me money, and I get to eat at his house. Like, how great is this?
Is Len the cook, or is it Honeybee? I want to know. I keep hearing about the food at his house, but
it's me, Doug.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Impressive. Respect.
So for our kids, the thing that I want to teach our kids is that saving money is awfully stupid, and owning money, owning assets, owning things, owning companies is the best way to go. And I drove this home for years as they have, the kids' savings accounts, right? You can go to the credit union, open a kids' savings accounts. And I would make a big show of, hey, the quarterly statement's here. Come on down. You've got mail. Let's take a look. Oh, look, you have $161 in your savings account, and they gave you a penny. All right. And even at, Brad's talking about age appropriate stuff, even at 7, they go, that's awful, Dad. Like I don't get that at all. There's got to be something better. And it's like, funny you should ask. And longtime listeners of the show know that we used to very avidly recommend Stockpile as an investment company for new young investors because of the way that they structured it around brands and owning.
Don't do that now.
Yeah, don't do it now. Well, I'll mention that in a second. But it was really well designed at the beginning because it showed kids, hey, I'm not buying Microsoft. I'm buying an Xbox. I'm buying part of Xbox. And it doesn't take very long or just one share of Microsoft and you get paid $2 of dividends. Now you go, well, $2 ain't anything either. You're right. But it's a magnitude multiplier compared to 1 cent against the bank. And so we worked really hard to help the kids understand, not necessarily the impact of compounding and all that other sort of stuff, which is really tough to understand even as adults, but rather be the person that owns stuff, not the person that lends money to places like just setting aside in the bank. Sadly, we don't really recommend Stockpile anymore because they added a whole bunch of fees and costs and made it pretty untenable to do business with them. But with the advent of partial share ownership at Fidelity and Schwab and all that other sort of stuff, you can kind of accomplish the same thing. So
still do it wherever you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff there. Anybody else? Brad, you're nodding your head.
Yeah, I was going to say, OG, when you said at first that saving money isn't good, or at least that's how I heard it, I'm like, what? Where's he going with this? Yeah. But then very clearly,
I'm like Len's dad.
Right, spend it all.
YOLO.
Coming in, coming out, lattes for everybody, right?
Yes.
Because clearly you were talking about, obviously, have a savings rate, but then use it to purchase small percentages of wonderful business.
By the best companies in the world. Absolutely.
Exactly. And that definitely the advice that I echo with my girls. And I think the savings rate is something, I know that's a big deal in my financial independence world. And we don't try to get into like the keeping up with the Joneses of the FI world of, oh, I have a 52% savings rate while you only have, right. You've only got 51, right? But for me, it's yeah. Seriously. But for my girls, we've set up basically 3 different buckets. They get the closest analog to an allowance, where every week we give them some money, but it's not because they did chores. It's just because we think them having financial skills are important. We break it up into spending, saving, and giving. Because I want to prioritize saving, we basically say, okay, 50% of it has to go to saving. And now, obviously, that's a little heavy-handed, but nevertheless, I think that's essentially, if you save 50% of your income, you're going to have a successful financial life. Period, hard stop, end of story. You can more or less screw everything else up other than not, investing in valuable businesses. Then from there, the other.
But Brad, if your kids leave home and they're like, yeah, I'm a slacker, I'm only saving 35%.
Well, that'll be right. That'll shoot for the moon, right?
Like how awesome? Okay. How awesome is that? Everybody's looking. They're like, "You're what? What? No, I only save 35%. My dad taught me to save 50, and I just can't keep doing it." Like, how great is that? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the plan. And then obviously, spending money is important. The fact that they've saved money and as part of this spending bucket means they can splurge on things. And sometimes that means things that I wouldn't necessarily buy. Like when we went to yet another amusement park, when we went to Universal Studios, my daughter very nearly pulled the trigger on a $300, whatever it was, lightning lane pass or fast pass, whatever it was. And that was $300 for one day, but she was dying to go on this Velocicoaster 27 times. And she very nearly did it. It wound up, her band trip didn't take us there where it didn't work out perfectly, but that was her choice. And that's pretty cool, I think, to be able to say, look, spending's important in life. It really is.
What does she value and spend money on that?
Exactly.
Yeah. And if she wants to spend a lot of money on that, that's fantastic. On that note too, one thing that I had to be careful with was my parents never let me make big mistakes with money. And that's something that changed between my parents and me. I would let my kids make some mistakes and I would put on my calendar to circle back a week later and say, how did that work for you? Give them a little bit of money so that they can make some, even at 7, 8 years old, 9 years old, a little bit more money than they maybe should have. And when they go to Target, they're like, oh, can I have that? Well, you've got your money. Do you want that? Let them mess up with $7 or $8 so they don't end up like me in college getting the credit card and running it up. Cause I'm making $100 mistakes then instead of $7, $8 mistakes. Len, let's talk about allowances for just a second. I know we've done separate shows on this, so I don't want to spend a lot of time. Do you do allowances for your kids? I don't remember. Did you?
They had to work for their money. So they had a ledger book. I think we've talked about this before on the show.
We did. Now I remember.
I gave them a ledger book, and certain chores were certain amounts of money. They did the chores, and we signed off on it, and they built their savings. They could see it right in the ledger book. And they could actually take loans against their future work if they wanted to. And I paid interest on the money that they had accumulated, and they owed me interest on the loans that they took on. So
loan shark.
So yeah,
line.
it wasn't that simple. Yeah. No, I did not give them an allowance. They had to work.
Len shows up with a baseball bat at his kid's high school job.
He hired it out, I think.
A dead fish wrapped up in a newspaper right outside my kid's bedroom door.
Hey, there's a horse head in my bed.
Oh, Uncle Lenny's here to collect.
So horrible. I think for all of us being open about money, though, I know that all three of you being much more open. How many of you, in terms of like the family meeting about money, have the kids in on the family meeting? I know we did that with our kids when they were available. They'd look through our bills with us. You guys do the same? Brad, you're nodding?
Yeah, we've never overtly done that because we don't actually have that. My wife and I don't do that meeting. We just have like a quarterly checkup when we do our quarterly net worth. But yeah, that's something that we definitely should include them in. But I think, again, age appropriate. I've tried to let them in on more information because, again, I don't want this to be a secret. I think they do need to understand, hey, how much does life cost? All of these things that are magically appearing when you turn on a light switch or run the water, you actually have to pay for those darn things, right? Or a couple of years back, we bought some rental properties in Georgia. And when I told them about them, that we own houses in Georgia that people live in, they were flabbergasted. They could not believe it. And they had so many questions. It was really great because they were actually interested. And then I started talking about the investment, and it was yet another one of those kind of spontaneous lessons that I didn't sit down and overtly plan out, but it worked better than I could have expected because I'm just kind of dripping this stuff to them. And I feel like if I would have started that at 5, they would have been bored to tears.
We started off with, I realized one time I was complaining a lot about the utility bill because I would come home and every light in the house would be on. And of course, nobody's inside, right? We had 3 TVs. All 3 TVs are on. The lights are all on. The doors are open. Nobody's paying attention to anything. So instead of complaining, I turned it into a game, and we took out some graph paper. And when at the time the bill would come, we would chart. And my kids actually got more fired up about the utility bill than I was. I remember I walked out of the room once while there was some sporting event on, and I come back in the room and the TV's off. I'm like, what's going on? And my daughter's like, you left the room. You got to turn the TV off when you leave the room. I'm like, how great is that? Although, Autumn, you got to relax a little.
You're like those rules don't apply to Dad.
That's right. Whoa, easy. Those are
do
for
as
everybody
I say,
else.
not as
That's right. No, I was very happy, and the utility bills went down without complaining, and everybody was on board. Letting them in on the money meetings. OG, do you do that?
Yeah, no, not really. It's I make the kids figure out the tip when we go out for dinner. I mean, it's not that complicated, right? You just move the decimal point, multiply by 2. Like
yeah, the kids are like, what's 3%?
Multiplied by 0.5.
Yeah. I make sure they do the math horrible. Right. I don't let them shortchange the server team. No. But we do stuff like that. My oldest son was really worried about taxes one day. I remember he's like, how do you know how to pay taxes? And I'm like, yeah, dude, I don't know, man. Like, it just sucks. And like, there's no hope for you or any of us for that matter, because it's a big, giant mystery. You just, you take all this stuff and send it to a guy, and he sends you an email back and says, this is how much you owe.
Except the government knows, and if you get it wrong, there's a penalty.
Yeah.
That's the kind of highbrow learning that happens at OG's house right there. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's much more, the stuff that we spend time talking about is much more around like entrepreneurship and that sort of thing. Like just the idea of, like you, Brad, we had a rental property in Michigan, and the kids just were they're like, we own an apartment building. I'm like, well, we don't own anything. I own it. Your mom by default owns half of it, but you don't own anything, man. Like, settle down. Like, we talk about that stuff a lot. Like, you want your own stuff, go get it. Dad's got his stuff.
That's such a classic dad lesson.
Yeah.
Those are my New Balance shoes.
Exactly.
Don't you dare wear those. I think, guys, that's looking at the clock. That's a good place to leave it. There's always so many things that we teach our kids, and I know you guys well enough to know where there's a lot more where that came from. But I think we'll stop right there. Let's find out what's happening where each of you are at. OG, big plans for Father's Day weekend?
Yeah, this will come as a shock to you, but I'm playing in a golf tournament this weekend.
That's weird. He's answered the same thing like 7 weeks in a row, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yes, that's great.
Yep. And then next week, early in the week, I leave to go to Ohio to
play in a golf tournament.
Play in another golf tournament, and then Northern Michigan for the summer. So let's do it.
Mr. Penzo, you got big plans for Father's Day weekend?
Actually, no. I'm going to stay home and watch the U.S. Open, I guess. How's that?
That is fantastic. I mean, if that's what Dad wants to do. What's going on?
It's my week. It's my week.
Bring it.
My weekend.
What's going on at lenpenzo.com?
Oh, it's heck. Who knows what's going on at there right now? Stop on by and you can find it. Let's see. Did I? Yeah, I talked about the ethics of found money last week. Yeah, just stop on by. Heck, I don't know. Just lenpenzo.com. It's probably just the inane stuff in finance. That's what I'm talking about usually over there. So the offbeat stuff. Offbeat. There's one thing I was does anybody still write checks? Does anybody still write checks for any bills? Did you just raise your hand?
Yeah, I definitely.
Brad?
I write checks.
Oh, okay. So we are talking about what happens when there's a lost check. Should you stop payment or not? That's an interesting little topic we're talking about right now for the 10 people left in America that still write checks to pay their bills.
Oh, this is an actual question?
It's riveting. See, Brad, this is why I always ask Joe to never let me follow Paula Pant, because Paula Pant's always like, well, I've got the Nobel Prize winner from blah, blah, blah. And then, hey, Len, what are you doing?
I'm talking about which ice cream is better. We did a blind taste test of 3 ice creams. I'll take that, Len. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm the only guy in this panel. I actually sweat every time Joe asks me the question, what are you doing at your blog?
Mr. Barrett, thank you so much for hanging out with us. That was a blast.
Yeah, this has been fun.
And you are headed to King's Dominion. We already know.
I suspect strongly. Yeah, probably hit up the our neighborhood pool, which is another family favorite for the summer. So yeah.
Now, I know you and I also share a love of board games. Do you get the girls to play board games with you too?
Yeah, we've kind of died down a little bit. We actually, have you ever played Dominion, the deck building game?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was our favorite game of all time. We probably played it 2,000 times, and it might have burned us out on board games forever.
No, I'm never playing again. Yeah.
So yeah, we're in a little bit of a lull right now.
Well, what isn't in a lull is the ChooseFI podcast. What's coming up, man? What do you guys got on tap?
Yeah, I mean, everything's rocking and rolling. We actually have some potentially interesting news. I see Jonathan now, our good friend, more than I ever have before because we work out 4 times a week together. So we've been kind of plotting a little bit of fun about maybe totally revamping our website and maybe having him come back to the podcast in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. So this maybe I'm not trying to be coy here because we've been talking about it this week, but get on my newsletter, ChooseFI.com/subscribe. There might be some insider access there. So again, not trying to be coy. That's just literally where we are as of this moment. Breaking news on the Stacking Benjamin show. Awesome. Maybe a return of Jonathan. I would, if I were you, Brad, I'd block him. I'd block that guy. I mean, it's my show. That's Say right. When. Whoa. Hey, you left, man. Your problem. We will link to ChooseFI. We will link to lenpenzo.com and all the goodness that we talked about today on our show notes at stackingbenjamins.com. Man, so much. But Doug, happy Father's Day to you too, my friend. What should we have learned today?
Thanks, Joe. First, take some advice from our all-star dad panel and teach your kids to be fully functioning, fashion-forward adults. Second, sometimes giving your kids advice can backfire, like telling your kid to buy into a partnership, so now you got to teach them about K1s. Nobody can understand that crap. But the big lesson? Is it me, or does every dad on earth say, "What's the damage?" every time they get a bill? Well, the damage has been done here, people. Damage done. Happy Father's Day, dads. Thanks to Brad Barrett for hanging out with us today. You'll find his podcast, ChooseFI, wherever you're listening to me right now. Thanks to Len Penzo for joining us today. You can find Len at lenpenzo.com/don't ask me for money, I'm retired. Thanks also to OG for joining us today. Looking for good financial planning help? Head to stackingbenjamins.com/OG for his calendar. This show is the property of SB Podcasts, LLC, copyright 2023, and is created by Joe Saul-Sehy. Our producer is Karen Repine. This show was written by Lacey Langford, who's also the host of the Military Money Show, with help from me, Joe, and Doc G from the Earn and Invest podcast. Kevin Bailey helps us take a deeper dive into all the topics covered on each episode in our newsletter called The 201. You'll find the 411 on all things money at the 201. Just visit stackingbenjamins.com/201. Tina Eichenberg makes the video version of this show. Once we bottle up all this goodness, we ship it to our engineer, the amazing Steve Stewart. Steve helps the rest of our team sound nearly as good as I do right now. Want to chat with friends about the show later? Mom's friend Gertrude and Kate Yunkin are our social media coordinators, and Gertrude is the room mother in our Facebook group called The Basement. So, say hello when you see us posting online. To join all the basement fun with other stackers, type stackingbenjamins.com/basement. Not only should you not take advice from these nerds, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial decisions, speak with a real financial advisor. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and we'll see you next time back here at the Stacking Benjamin Show.
What's wrong with you?
It's either this show or indigestion. I hope it's indigestion.
Why?
It'll get better in a little while.
Welcome to the after show, the part of the show that doesn't exist. I asked you guys a question before we hit record, which is some good stories about some funny, maybe not great stuff that your dad may have done. Some dad, we're all becoming our dads, those progressive commercials that we all love. But anybody got a good story about maybe your dad doing something? Len?
Well, there was the time our lawn was looking really bad. My dad didn't have a green thumb with the lawn, and it was pretty dead. And one of the neighbors came over and was just ribbing him about the lawn, how it looked like total crap. I mean, it was dead. It was brown as sky. I mean, it was bad. So the next day he went to the paint store and bought some green paint, and he literally painted the lawn green.
That's fantastic. I played a golf course with OG that they did that too.
Oh, really?
That's right.
Is it really?
Yeah, it was down in Austin. Yeah.
Middle of summer in Austin. Brad, you got any dad stories?
Joe, I'm mortified. I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
We'll give you a few more minutes then. How about that? Yeah. We will.
Yeah, an hour wasn't long enough.
We'll do that. I actually have a story about Doug's dad, hanging out with Doug's dad, who is a great guy. And it was always
I can't
fun.
wait to hear this.
So, Brad, speaking of board games, you know the game Ticket to Ride.
Yeah, of course.
So I come over to Doug residence, and his dad decides to play this board game. Len, have you played Ticket to Ride?
No.
So the concept of the game is you're laying these trains to try to connect them between cities on the board. And you get these things called tickets. And the tickets have numbers on them, which represent a number of points you're going to get if you connect these two cities. So if I connect San Francisco with Seattle using these plastic trains, I'll get X number of points. Well, so I explained the game, and Doug's dad is like, yeah, okay, we're good to go. I'm like, he was so confident. And so he just immediately, you put these sets of colors together because across the board, there's like sets of red. And if you play 3 reds, you lay 3 trains between 2 cities or 5 greens or whatever. He's collecting them like a ninja, getting the sets. He's laying them down. He's playing the things. He's got trains going all over the place. we get 2/3 of the way through the game, and he goes, "Hey, Joe, I just got one question." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "What are these ticket things for?" He's just randomly laying trains all over the board. And we realized 2/3 of the way through the game that Doug's dad had no idea what the hell we were.
I'm sure it had nothing to do with Joe's explanation of how to play the game. Because if you've ever done game night with Joe, it's like, so here's the rules. And then about 1/3 of the way through, it's like, oh, wait, hold on. So I forgot to tell you, you're supposed to collect all these first. Looks like I have them all.
Thank you, OG.
My bad. I forgot to mention that.
Like 20 minutes in, your eyes glaze over, and you're like, "Can we just play around?" And you explain while we're playing
that's not easy. Me and the honeybee almost got into a divorce. We got a divorce almost 2 weeks ago because I was trying to teach her how to play euchre, and she was so frustrated by the time
I haven't played euchre in 25 years.
How do you know euchre, Len? That's a Midwest game.
My folks are from the Midwest, Ohio.
Actually, it's not even that common in Ohio. It's more like Michigan, Wisconsin.
I don't even remember how to play.
That's cool.
Common to my folks.
It's the same as Crazy Eights, but different.
Yeah, but that's difficult to try to explain it. I mean, the honeybee, she was mad. She was so mad at me. I mean, yeah.
I thought Len was going to say I was trying to get her to learn Twister.
We're playing strip poker, and
only one of us is naked. Come on. OG, a dad story for us?
So 2 things. Number 1, I would like to make a plug for the book, Bleep My Dad Says.
My Dad Says?
Shh. My Dad Says. It's, I thought pretty funny. Disclaimer, haven't read it in 10 years, but I remember it being very funny. I remember thinking this is what literally it was like to live in my house when I was a kid. But my grandparents lived on a farm in Michigan, and every weekend, just about, we'd go out to the farm to do stuff, whether it was sit around and watch Dad and Grandpa drink beer, or shoot guns, or drive tractors, or mow the grass, or help Grandma plant beans, or who knows what we're going to do. We just always were out there, especially in the summertime. And as we got older, we got to drive, and it was a big farm, so we could get in the car and or the truck and just drive around, my brother and I. And we're driving in the back 40, and I decide it's a really great idea to grab the bottom of the steering wheel and see what happens if I turn it as fast as I can in one direction.
Oh,
which,
so good.
In case you wonder, you end up with a mouthful of dirt and your brother on top of you. And
so good.
So we rolled the pickup truck in the back 40, flipped it back over by ourselves. How we did it is beyond me. And, drove cautiously back and parked it so you couldn't tell. I mean, it was a truck beat to hell, so it wasn't like we dented it. It was already dented and rusted and whatever. We were like, whew, pinky swear, I'm not saying anything if you don't say anything, right? Nobody's going to get in trouble on this deal. Fast forward probably 30 years, my dad says something just off the cuff like, well, like the time you 2 idiots rolled the pickup truck in the woods. And I go, what? Only you can with your dad with a big grin on your face, like my son does to me. What, Dad? Oh, what do you mean rolled the truck? And he's like, you think Grandpa and I didn't know what you idiots did over there? Of course we could tell. We knew exactly what happened, but we figured you learned your lesson, so we weren't going to talk about it. So I just thought it was a funny time for him to pull that out, 30 years after the event or something like that.
He waited to play that card forever.
Well, yeah, I don't know that he waited. I think it just, we got in so much damn trouble over there. It was the least of his worries.
That was minor on the whole scale of things. Rolling a truck was...
Rolling trucks was a minor issue. Absolutely.
Brad, how about you? Any dad fun?
Yeah, so we've been talking board games, and I'm thinking back on my dad was so competitive when it came to everything, and I think he instilled that in me and my brother somehow. And my mom was like mortified, in essence. Anytime we would play board games, she got steamrolled. And then for some reason, we had the bad idea to bring Monopoly, I think it was, or some ridiculous game. Which
that
is
always ends
game.
in a fight. Yeah.
Yeah. A terrible idea. Or it might have been Risk, which is even worse. Over to my aunt and uncle's house. And we played. It was me, my brother, and my dad. We played with my poor, innocent younger cousin. And the poor kid was, scarred for life. He literally, I believe he has never played another board game ever again. And it was like, the Barretts came to town and all hell broke loose.
Nice. It's like we did the Wild West episode earlier in the week. It's like Jesse James. The game comes in and not good. I think I'd like to end with a story about my dad, which is my dad is a guy who, when he says something, his word is his bond. He looks you in the eye, shakes your hand. It's a firm handshake, and you can trust whatever he does, except one time. We were out doing some last minute shopping, and because my dad always waited for the last minute for Christmas. And so he is ready to scram. And every year he would take my brother and I and ask, you think your mom be offended? It was never, will mom like this? It was, would she be offended if I got her an iron? Or would she be offended if I got her that was always the question. Now, I don't know, because I'm like 9. My brother's maybe 7. And so we didn't know. But before we went this particular year, my dad grabs us. We go shopping and we go to Pizza Hut because we're all starving before we go shopping.
I love this story.
And so my dad, we get done with this delicious, supreme pan pizza and the salad, whatever. And we get done and the bill comes and my dad just reaches back to his pocket and gets this kind of weird look on his face. I didn't know what was going on because once again, I'm like 9. And then he reaches over to his coat and he goes through one pocket and he goes through the other pocket. And then he just kind of gets this like far off look in his face. And then he leans across the table and he goes, hey, Tony, to my little brother. My brother's like, yeah, Dad? He goes, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go in the bathroom and I'd like you to count to 10 and then come out of the bathroom. Don't look at our table and just go right out to the car and get in the back seat. My brother's like, why would I do that? And my dad's like, don't ask what, just do it. So my brother goes in the bathroom. My dad and I are sitting there. I have no idea what the heck's going on. And then after my brother apparently counts to 10, he doesn't even look. It's pretty obvious that he's not looking at us, by the way. Like he just is pretending he doesn't have any idea who we are, walks right out the door, gets in the back seat of the car. My dad always left the car unlocked. And so my dad looks out the window, sees that, leans over to me and goes, hey, Joey, I want you to go in the bathroom. I want you to count to 10 and don't look at me. Then just go right out. I'm like, Dad, what's going on? He's like, just do it. And so I go in the bathroom, I count to 10 and go out to the back seat, sit next to my brother. My brother's like, what's going on? I'm like, I got no idea. All of a sudden the Pizza Hut door comes flying open. My dad's hightailing it out because we're dining and dashing. And he forgot his wallet.
Oh, man.
And of all the ways to solve that problem, my dad was always really good, is still really good at problem solving. Out of all the ways, that was the worst way he could have ever thought to solve that problem.
So he taught you a lesson in a very unconventional way.
Yeah, don't forget your wallet.
Here's what's not to do.
Do not forget your wallet.